Hey guys, welcome to the Built Lean podcast. I'm Mark Perry, the creator of Built Lean, which helps busy men with demanding careers get lean, strong, and functionally fit with exceptional vitality. And today I have a very special guest with me, Tim Anderson. And Tim is the founder of Original Strength, which teaches health, fitness, and education professionals a system to restore, build, and enhance the movement of their patients, clients, and athletes. And as a movement restoration specialist, Tim has written and co-written several books, including Becoming Bulletproof, Habitual Strength, Pressing Reset, and Original Strength. And I came across Tim years ago and even wrote an Original Strength book review on builtlean.com website many years ago. And Tim is lean, he's strong, he's fit, he's flexible, and he's achieved a level of fitness I personally aspire to. And he's able to move his body like so effortlessly and fluidly, literally like a child. You've got to see it to believe it. And Tim is a phenomenal teacher. In fact, he's a teacher to the teachers. And so with that said, Tim, thank you so much for joining the Built Lean podcast today.
Mark, thank you so much for having me. This is awesome. Thank you.
Cool. So I guess to start out, if you could kind of tell me a little bit more about like the genesis of Original Strength, like how did it all come about?
Well, it was a complete accident. I was dealing with overuse injuries from being overzealous with everything I've ever done, all types of training. Mostly what set me off, though, was back in 2006, I really dove hard into kettlebell training. My rule was, well, just show up anyway and just push through. Turns out that's not the best rule to have. So I got overuse injuries. I got frustrated with them. So I looked into corrective exercises. So I started learning about how to fix myself. And the more I learned, the more frustrated I got then, because it felt like I was chasing my tail. Like if I thought I was fixing something else would pop up. Right. And I just got into this cycle. And then one night I was having a self-pity party because my whole life, even as an adult, I've always loved Superman. Wanted to be Superman. And I was sitting around one night just thinking that this sucks. I don't feel like Superman. So I just honestly, I asked God to show me how to train to be bulletproof. And within 2 weeks, I picked up a book on learning disorders in children, and God just connected the dots, and I just saw how wonderful the human design is and how the body's made to heal and it's made to be strong always. So that's really how all this started.
So this is really fascinating, and let's dive in a little bit. So what do you mean by the body is designed to be strong, designed to heal, that sort of thing?
So, do you have children?
I don't, but many of the listeners do.
But you've seen a child.
Of course I have seen a child. I have nieces and nephews.
So when a baby is born, when you were born, when I was born, we were all born with an original movement program, an original operating system. And in that program is the developmental sequence. And we're designed to go through a series of movements that build our nervous system and tie our body together. And the purpose of that is to get us strong and resilient so that we can go and explore the world and live and enjoy life. So no matter how old we are, we have that program in us. My point to that, though, is we have a program that's designed to make us strong. What we don't have is a program that's designed to make us weak and break us down. And we never lose the program that's designed to make us strong. And there is no program to make us weak except for this right here. We can program ourselves with our thoughts and everything, but we do not have, there's nothing in our nervous system that has a date of expiration on it that says, all right, let's start tearing things down here. That doesn't exist. So at any time in your life, you can tap back into your original operating system and your body just starts laying down that solid foundation of strength again. It's kind of how it works.
So how do you do that?
You move like you did when you were a child. So when a child, the developmental sequence, in Original Strength, we teach 5 movements. Breathing with the diaphragm properly. I mean, everybody breathes with their diaphragm, but to use it fully to its functionally, Then we do learning head control, how to master the movements of your eyes and your head, because you need to activate your vestibular system. And then rolling around on the floor, just like children do, rocking back and forth on your hands and knees, just like children do, and then crawling. And crawling, you could also extend that out to walking, marching, skipping, running, but it's the gait pattern though. And if we do those 5 things, we're effectively pressing reset on our bodies and strengthening our nervous system, telling our nervous system we are safe, giving it great information where it feels safe to allow us to move.
And so I'm kind of thinking from this from different perspectives. On one hand, someone might be listening and be like, well, dude, I just want to work out and, get some abs, or just, get strong, get fit. Like, how does this fit in, or what would you say to someone who thinks that?
So if you love working out, and, lifting weights or whatever your workout is, the better foundation you have for movement, the better you'll be able to work out and enjoy the things you love to do. So if you have a solid movement foundation, and you get that when you move how you were designed to move, by engaging in those 5 things that I was telling you about. Now, yes, they are the developmental sequence, but yes, you're actually supposed to engage in them in your entire life. You're always supposed to breathe properly. You're always supposed to activate your vestibular system.
Right.
You're always supposed to engage in your gait pattern. That should never stop. And that is what gives us a solid foundation for movement. And when we have that foundation, that means we can move any way we want to, effortlessly, with full strength, full expression of mobility, flexibility, stability, because they all dance together. It's just all expression. So however you want to express yourself, whether it's CrossFit, whether it's bodybuilding, whatever it is, you can express yourself better and optimally if you have your solid foundation of movement.
That's great. And so I'm kind of curious to ask, like, what does your own exercise routine look like?
Now, today, I have come to a point in my life where I don't really I don't exercise anymore. I move a lot.
Okay.
Most days, I wrote a book called Discovering You, where I go through this morning program of 21 repetitions of certain movements. I do that every day. I just call it the 21s. And I do a lot of body weight stuff. If I were going to look at exercises that I really love to do, Hindu squats, Hindu push-ups. I hang from a bar a lot throughout the day. Right now I practice handstands, but I just explore and play. I haven't lifted weights in a very, very long time.
Wow. Okay.
So in this season of my life,
okay,
that's what I'm exploring right now.
Okay. And I was, and this is a big question, and you kind of talked a little bit about this in your answer. How has your routine evolved? Let's just even call it in the last kind of 5 years. How's your routine evolved? And we're always evolving. I know my routine is dramatically evolved. I just want to hear about you.
In the last 5 years, well, so ever since OS, so I would say it's really the last 10 years, because even 5 years ago, when I trained inside of OS, like say crawling,
right,
I would make crawling as miserable as I possibly could.
Right. Well, you did do a mile on YouTube, which is amazing. People can check that out, and that's something that I watched back in the day. But anyways, continue.
But so 5 years ago, I would crawl across the football field,
right,
3 or 4 times, dragging 100 pounds of chains or something like that. And I would do those kind of things. Whereas now, my motto is, it feels good to feel good, and make the hard things easy. So the thing about making hard things easy, though, is once you realize you have the ability to shut the mind down and just enjoy the suffering where it's not suffering anymore, you no longer really have to physically try to make hard things easy, because really it's the mind that you want to get control of. So I don't really train hard anymore, but if I want to, like every now and then I'll be like, I wonder if I can still do, battling ropes for 10 minutes. And I might not have touched it in 2 years, but then I can just do 10 minutes consecutive of, making waves on a rope with nasal breathing, because not because I'm special, but just because I've learned how to not I already know I can make hard things easy. So it's like this just mindset when you go into it that you've done this before. You've done it 100
Right.
times. Even though you haven't done it in years, it's still there, which is kind of neat. But a lot of that though plays into reflexive strength. Being able to manage your diaphragm, breathing
Mm-hmm.
properly, functionally under stress. Having a very good, efficient movement foundation. So the more efficient you can move, the easier things are. So even though you're doing harder things, they're not necessarily that hard because you have all your gaps are filled in.
So I was going to ask you, like, how do you make hard things easy and quiet your mind? How do you make that shift?
So my favorite way now in today's world this season, I love crawling in super, super slow motion for time. Like say, my phrase is make sloths jealous. But I might go for I'm a fan of 10-minute blocks of challenges like that, and I'll just crawl like can I collect dust for 10 minutes while I'm trying to control every fine movement in my body. And so your mind's you have something to focus on, and it just kind of drowns out the rest of the noise. So it becomes easy.
By the way, that's so fascinating. And just for people listening, crawling is an amazing pattern. It's something I learned from Tim, and I've built into my own training and warm up. But it's tremendously challenging, and to do it slow, as he's saying, it's just a different level. And I'm going to include some videos on the article. So I'm going to kind of include this kind of interview we're doing on the article, just so you can see how unbelievable it's amazing to see you do it. To be frank, to see how controlled and fluid it is. So I appreciate that. And by the way, just as a personal note, like from crawling forwards and backwards, and you were the one who I started learning about backward crawling, and I realized how unbelievably hard it is. And I had this one triathlete who I trained a while ago, and he was smoked just crawling backwards and forwards with just some jumping jacks. But anyways,
Yeah.
just going backwards and forwards crawling, I could do a one arm, one leg push up like without too much trouble.
Yes.
It's like all right, not that big of a deal. Whereas before, it just seemed like a silly, ridiculous. It's like how could you possibly do that, right?
So
But,
that's the great thing about crawling is it
right,
ties your body together so well. Like I could not do a one arm, one leg push up until I started crawling.
right.
And then I just discovered I could do it by accident. And it was a great discovery. And then I learned that, well, heck, everything else I want to do in the weight room is so much easier now too. So it really takes the brakes off of your strength and allows you to fully express yourself.
That's really cool, and that's in line with the core X concept, which I learned from you, right?
Yeah, yeah, because your body's an X, and when we do that crawling pattern, and when we crawl a certain way, like maintaining the optimal posture, like a child does, it just really ties the X together, connects the shoulders to the hips, solid center, so that you can really create force and transfer force very efficiently through your body.
Okay, cool. And so in in the original strength book, you mentioned how you do not advocate the use of foam rollers or stretching. Why not?
Well, I am pro. You can do it if you like, if it brings you
Okay.
joy.
Okay.
If it brings you joy, but if you're doing it to try to fix a problem, it might not be the best route to go.
Okay.
Like if you have a trigger point, instead of addressing the trigger point, it might be better to address the reason you have a trigger point. And the reason you might have a trigger point is because your nervous system's not getting optimal information and it's compensating somehow and it's showing up as a trigger point. Whereas, so a foam roller, while it could feel good and could give you relief and help you perform a little bit, maybe, it could be a temporary solution if you haven't addressed what your nervous system's really looking for. Now, if you
Mm-hmm.
love foam rolling and it's something that brings you joy, great, do it. Our original, when we first wrote the book, it was though, if you're foam rolling every day and you've been foam rolling every day for a year and it still hasn't fixed the issue that you're foam rolling, it's probably not working for you the way you want it to. And now it's become a ritual, and you're not really getting what you want out of it.
Okay. And so a question I have also is, does strength training with weights interfere with your body's ability to be mobile and to restore your original function?
Not if you have a solid foundation. Now, so if your body's tied together well, no, strength training with weights is just it becomes an activity you can enjoy and express yourself wonderfully with. But if you don't have a solid foundation, it can set you up for other issues, for injuries and things like that. So it could be a detriment to you. The easiest way I can explain that is, so power lifters are very, very, very good at three lifts. Super strong at the squat, the bench press, and the deadlift. And so you could have a power lifter, let's just say he pulls 700, 800 pounds from the ground. That's amazing strength. But if he can't walk up and down his steps without doing the handrail, putting his hands on his knees because he hurts or he can't move well and efficiently, is his strength really applicable or helpful in the real world? Or is it only good for the deadlift and the squat? And that's temporary. But living your life well into your 90s, being able to walk up and down your own stairs with ease, that should be the big goal. So powerlifting is not bad for you on top of a solid foundation. But if you don't have that solid foundation and you just grew those three patterns, then so your weight training, then you could be setting yourself up for non-optimal movement, which could end up taking away more and more and more of your mobility, your flexibility, and your range of motion.
Okay. Well, I think that it's all great stuff, Tim. And I was just, I'm thinking about kind of like a hypothetical case study. Let's just take a guy, he's 40 years old. He's pretty stiff, right? He's sedentary, working on a computer most of the day. Shoulders are stiff, hips are stiff, and he's just feeling overall, he just has tightness. So where does he start? What does he do?
Well, without seeing him, my first
Right.
guess would be the great place to start would be is breathing.
Okay.
Chances are, if he's sitting at a desk all day, he's likely breathing up, especially with the tightness issues that you were talking about. He's likely breathing with his accessory breathing muscles. He's likely breathing through his mouth, not his nose. He's likely
Right.
not resting his tongue on the roof of his mouth. So just those simple things could be what really restores his shoulder mobility, takes the tight tension out of his hamstrings, takes the pain out of his low back, just by changing how he breathes and how he holds his tongue. And it could be that simple, like, because it's all about restoration, and it's just engaging in that original program. It's like a reset button. And then all of a sudden, all the other programs on top of the original program just start working the way they're supposed to.
That's fascinating. So why? I'm almost like thinking like, how does someone implement that? Like, how do you implement these different types of, breathing exercises? Like, where do you start?
So that's tricky. The good news is everybody's done it
Right.
before when you were a child. So your nervous system remembers how to do it. But now because of neuroplasticity and we're trying to dust off old connections and remake other new connections efficient, we just have to show up. So it might be that we bring the awareness of the breath to the person first and show them how it works, right? Because here's the cool thing. Change happens in the body at the speed of the nervous system. So just learning how to breathe, with 10 good breaths is going to totally change how his body moves.
I've seen
Just
it.
like at the snap
Right.
of a finger, because it's that fast. So once he understands that, because he feels it and experience is the best teacher ever. So when you experience how these movements can change your body that fast, well, now we have a reason to show up. So then we just show up every day for maybe 2 to 5 minutes, and we just start accumulating reps by showing up. We're just consistent. So we do the same thing we did as a child. Child shows up every day, has nothing else to do. So it shows up day in, day out, and it's moving and living through those movements. So as an adult, if we just show up every day and be patient, just like we did as a child, day in, day out, we're going to start accumulating those repetitions in our nervous system, and our nervous system is going to say, you know what, I really do remember how to do this, and you don't have to think about it anymore. I got it. You're going to move well. I feel safe. I feel good. You're giving me good information. I'm going to let you move, Johnny. And then Johnny's moving happy as he wants to be, just like he did when he was a child.
That's fascinating. And is this like 5-10 minutes a day? Are we talking kind of crocodile breathing? Are we talking? I know I've seen. You've done breathing in kind of the rocking pattern. Like, how like how do you go about doing this?
It could be crocodile breathing. So at OS, when we teach workshops, we show all these different positions, and then we have you
Right.
test which one your body really likes.
Oh, wow.
So once you know what your body really likes, great, let's go with that. And because that one can start to fill in the gaps of all those other positions without you even trying to worry about those other positions. Because we just want to get the reps in where we're successful, where
Right.
the body says, "Ah, yeah, this feels great. I remember how to do this." So it's not. And here's the trick: is we're all individual. We all have different backgrounds and histories and things that are in our bodies, right? So the position for you may be different from me. That your big bang
Interesting.
position,
Okay.
and that's fine because we just want to meet the person where they're at,
Right.
give them what their body needs, and then so once we find that position, and it's not hard to find, it's not hard to
Right.
find at all. Then it can just be 5 minutes a day, getting in those reps, accumulating those reps and breathing in that position. And see what happens though is you become mindful of your breath eventually. So instead of just practicing it 5 minutes in the morning when you're on your way to work, you find yourself practicing with your tongue in the roof of your mouth, breathing in and out your nose down into your belly. When you're sitting at your desk, you catch yourself, and
Right.
so as we build our practice, mindfulness also seeps in. So now you got two things that are accelerating the process. And then eventually one day you just notice that, well, dang, I don't even have to think about this anymore. I breathe the way I'm supposed to, and I feel good. My back hadn't hurt in weeks. Holy cow. So it just, or man, I can stand on one foot and put my shoes on again. That's crazy. All I've been doing is practicing breathing and moving my head a certain way. Like,
It's amazing.
huge things start happening, and it just makes life better.
Right. And so I just want to add something on for the people listening. I mean, so I've done the functional movement screen for years on different people. And there's like that hurdle step where someone has to like lift up their leg and then go over like a hurdle. And
Hmm.
some guys are like all over the place. And I do crocodile breathing. And all of a sudden it's like their bodies move perfectly. You're like, what the heck just happened? And so I guess what I'm saying is I think some of the people listening might be like, dude, like breathing, this sounds so out there. But like until you see it, right? Until you see it, you don't believe. And I've seen it. I've seen how it just changed the game. And anyways, what were you gonna say?
So here's why that works. So the diaphragm's a spinal stabilizer. So if you're using your diaphragm properly, that means you're stabilizing your spine. Well, if your body knows your spine's stable and it's not going to get hurt, it's probably going to let you move. But the body is crazy smart. But if it knows you're not stabilizing your spine because you're breathing up in your neck and your chest, and you're not using your diaphragm properly, your nervous system knows it. So now it's not going to let you move with grace and ease. And it's going to make you wobble around and stuff because it's unsure about what you're trying to do. And it's going to try to give you compensations so that you can achieve the task. So instead of being able to step over it without any hitch in your giddy up when everything's level, you're all over the place because now you've got compensations going on because you don't have a stable spine and your nervous system is just trying to help you out.
That's an amazing answer. I hadn't heard that before. That's great. And so let's just say, okay, once someone is able to kind of reconnect with their breath and diaphragmically breathe, and I've certainly seen, a lot of guys when I've done posture assessments, like you breathe straight into your chest over, versus kind of diaphragmically. And so I guess my question is, okay, once you have the diaphragmic breathing down and you're kind of restored your breathing pattern, if you will, like then what? What's the next step?
Well, there can be a next step, or it could just be everything at once. So
Okay.
we breathe with our diaphragm. That's the first thing a child does when it comes into the world, right? And that's really important because it's also the last thing you're going to do when you leave. But the next thing, like if we were looking at the developmental sequence, and there's no order to any of this stuff, but if you're just looking at the sequence, would be head control, activating the vestibular system. And for an adult, that may just be an easy way to think of it would be, hey, eyes and head on the horizon often, because that's how we're designed. We don't live that way, but
Interesting.
but that's how we're designed. And getting up and down from your chair often instead of sitting 8 hours a day, activate your vestibular system. Tell your body you need it by moving, getting up, getting down. Don't be static. really easy ways to activate the vestibular system are to integrate the movements of the eyes and the head, just like a child does. So you wire your early, I mean, that's how we're wired. Like, so where the eyes and head go, the body follows. So you just start sharpening those reflexes you had as a child, and you make them efficient through use. And then the body just starts working the way it's supposed to.
And so you're mentioning some of these exercises like the, head nods, kind of rolling, rocking, and crawling. And I imagine you've chosen those exercises because that's what essentially how babies develop their movement. Is that right?
Yeah, those are the movements that make a baby strong enough to get up on 2 feet and go, play on a playground or do whatever babies want to do, right? It gives them the strength to fuel their curiosity so they can get from here to there and just start discovering the world. Truth is as an adult, we should still have that same curiosity and want to go discover the world. We should still be moving the same way we did as a child. None of it, so our design, we're clearly designed to move because movement's what builds the nervous system and keeps the brain healthy, which means we're not designed to sit still. Because if movement keeps the brain healthy and builds the nervous system and ties the body together, that would clearly mean that not moving doesn't do any of those things. It actually does the reverse. So when we create a demand on the body meets the challenge. When there is no demand, there's nothing to meet. So it just lets everything go. So if we ask nothing of our body, it will give us what we ask for. It gives us nothing. So then all of a sudden, if we've sat for 10 years behind a desk, and then one day our old high school buddy calls us up and we reminisce and think we want to get together for a flag football game one weekend, why would we think we would perform well since we haven't asked our body to do any of that stuff for years? But we're going to go do it anyway because that's how we are. And it's fun, but we're likely going to get an injury because nothing's tied together well. We don't have good posture. We don't breathe right. We can't generate power and explosiveness, and we can't make turns anymore because we just haven't accessed those. We've never asked our body to do that. But if we live in our design, we're always asking our body, telling our body we want to use it, and it knows, and it's going to let us use it. It's really about showing up.
So what would you say to someone, and there's certainly a lot of people who believe this, which I think is a limiting belief, but it's a belief. People are like, hey, you know what? You get stiffer as you get older. What would you say?
I would say you're absolutely right.
Okay.
If you believe that. So, but then you could go, why? Why do we get? So you look at all the data. You can start looking at, well, we lose 8%, 10% muscle mass after age 30. There's some percentage that we lose every year. Well, what are we looking at? We're looking at the current population. Well, what's the current population doing? They're not using their body. So yes, those numbers are probably very accurate, but they're also looking at a sedentary body, a mass population of sedentary bodies that all are not supposed to be sedentary. They're just not using their bodies. But what if a man is in his 60s and he never stopped using his bodies? He's going to be able to perform like close to what he did in his 30s. He just is, because he never stopped creating the demand. He never told his brain, hey, I don't want to use my body anymore. He always shows up. That's why you see some people that are so healthy and they look great when in their old age, but the secret is they've always been moving. They've not just decided to get still one day and sit in a chair for 8 to 13 hours a day. And we're going to have to sit in chairs, but we don't have to stay in them.
Right. It creates that kind of like inflexible cycle. It's like an inflexibility cycle. It's like, okay, you feel stiff or you sit down, then you feel stiff and then you don't want to move. And then it's just that kind of inflexibility cycle, right? I mean,
well, what if also you do believe that, well, once you get over 30, things start falling apart? If you believe that, you're going to set your mind on that and you're going to accept it. You're not going to do you're not going to do a lot to try to reverse it because you're already thinking, well, that's just the way it is. And the crazy thing about the brain, though, is so the body's made to follow the head, and that's true, very true in movement, but it's also true in mind. Everybody knows whatever you set your mind on, you can achieve, which also means whatever you set your mind on, you're going to end up having. It works both ways. You can set your mind on positive things and go get it, like whether you think you can or you can't. You're right. You've heard that before. Well, it works in the other way, too. I mean, because if you're not thinking one thing, or if you're thinking something, that means you're not thinking something else. And if you're not thinking something else, that means you're thinking something. So you're going in that direction all the time.
Right. And by the way, how old are you, Tim?
45.
I mean, guys, it's funny you talk about, hey, a guy in his 60s can move like a guy in his 30s. I'm like, you move like you're 8 years old. It's insane. Like, people have got to see it to believe it. It's unbelievable. And like, let's continue. What we're gonna say?
I didn't always. I move better now than I did in my 20s.
Right.
And that is like, that's undeniable. I wish I could have moved this well when I was in my 20s.
Right. That's just, I think it's just so cool. And so let's talk a little bit about kind of, lifestyle tips, because we've talked a little bit about the exercise, and I'm going to include some more resources for people in the article. I mean, it's just, by the way, I mean, the YouTube channel is amazing, but what is, like, do you have any lifestyle tips to help guys like kind of improve their health, restore their health? Because obviously that's just such an important part of all of this.
Um, One would be, in your brain, you just got to know that you're made to be strong. Your body's designed to be able and capable your whole life. You got to know that. And if you look at it from, like, just from a distance, if a person lives to say 80, why would it make any sense that the best years of their life are 0 to 20, and then the worst years of their life, where everything starts falling apart, are the next 60 years? That doesn't make any sense. That's not even meeting in the middle at the halfway point. So,
Right.
so beyond that, beyond mindset, or just knowing that you're designed to move, would be move. Show up every day. And it doesn't have to be hard. It can just be checking in with yourself, make sure you're breathing well, the way you're designed. It can be literally 10 minutes a day, moving your head, rolling around on the floor, rocking back and forth, and crawling on your hands and knees. Might be all you ever need to do to ensure that your body can move well. But you know what? The truth is 10 minutes is so ridiculously easy. It's okay if you do more. But if that's all you did, you're going to be good. Okay. But if you made it intentional effort to move often throughout the day, again, whether it's every hour you get up from your desk and, intentionally walk down the hall, or go get a glass of water, go to the bathroom, you're just deliberate on moving often, it all adds up. I think you just got to show up and just know that your body's made to be strong. None of us are made to be weak. And if you know that, you're on the right path.
Cool. And so, just out of curiosity, what does your own kind of morning routine look like?
So I get up in this season. I get up at 4 a.m. and I read for about an hour, and then at 5 I start rolling around on the floor. I do my 21s, and they take about 20 to 30 minutes. And it's mostly like rolling around on the floor, rocking back and forth. And then I'll do a couple of times a week. I'll do Hindu squats, Hindu push-ups, and then I'll go downstairs and I'll grab I do have kettlebells, and I use them to carry out in the neighborhood. So I'll just pick up for 10 minutes on the clock. I'll just set a timer, and I'll just carry a kettlebell back and forth across my cul-de-sac, holding it in different places, because that's great strength training. It's old man strength training.
Right,
You're just using
right.
your body carrying stuff. And then after that, I'll go for about a 30-minute walk in the neighborhood. The rest of the day, every hour or so, I might do a handstand against the wall for 30 seconds, or a back bridge, or squats, or I'll just lay down on the floor and get up 10 times. Just practice and see where I can move. I just play.
Cool.
I just play.
Cool.
Nothing crazy.
And so, in terms of like doing it throughout the day, being more mobile, is it like, just when you need to, like, how would you recommend implementing that? Or, how do you recommend like people like move more, right? Like, I think as a society, like, we're all getting more and more sedentary, so to speak. Like, how do we build that in? How do we move more?
Lowest hanging fruit would be to be intentional on setting a schedule that you have at least one movement block in the day. And for most people, because once the day gets started, they get carried away with the day. If you don't do it before your day, it just typically seems to be harder. Some people do thrive in the afternoon, but all these excuses can mount up in the afternoon not to move. So lowest hanging fruit would just be intentional. Set you a small schedule. Maybe you just move for 20, 30 minutes. Great. Great. More intentional, if you really, really want to make sure that you stay young and able and mentally thriving, throughout your life, you just, if you're working in the COVID world and you're working from home, it's way easier. You can
That's a good
take
point.
those you can take those movement breaks. You can deliberately not have water at your desk, and every time you get thirsty, you get up, walk across the house, go to the kitchen, get it, and then come back to your desk. Or you just take a 30-second rocking break where you just get on your hands and knees, rock back and forth. Or you do some windshield wipers and just loosen up your spine. Feels amazing. Even if you only got up and did a big stretch, like a lion would when they get up from sleeping in the day, your body will love it. And you're telling your body something. Hey, I want to keep you. I want to use you. I'm just going to stretch you a little bit. And it's going to allow you to continue to have function. So every 30 minutes to an hour, like, it doesn't have to be hard. The easiest way is just set a stopwatch that goes off every hour, and you get up and do something for 3 minutes. We're not talking about taking a 15-minute, siesta or anything. It's just 3 minutes of movement and then go back to work.
That's really powerful. And out of curiosity, what is your eating like?
You don't want to know that one.
Uh-oh.
So I've had so COVID taught me a lot of things. There are just a lot of uncertainties in life. And I'm very loose on my eating. When I say loose, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with enjoying food. Matter of fact, I think the secret to that is just to be grateful for it. So I practice, my goal, my hope is that I approach a meal with gratitude, and I trust that it's going to end up where it needs to go. So in the past, I would be, well, is it organic? Is it grass-fed? Has it been treated well? Which is important. Those things could be important. But you know what? At the end of the day, sometimes you just can't help how your food is treated, and sometimes you have what you have. So I try to be grateful for it and enjoy it. I have taste buds. I think I have them for a reason, so I like things that taste good. I'll be honest, right now I'm on a big cereal kick. I love eating cereal. But it brings me joy. And I cannot see, I haven't experienced anything negative from it. So.
Nice. Well, I mean, you're in impressive shape. And is it cool? Could you kind of share maybe like a breakfast, lunch, dinner? Do you eat snacks? Just kind of curious.
Breakfast is, I'll eat a banana with peanut butter. Those two things go. So for me, I just love taking, just spooning peanut butter on a banana. And then I might make pancakes or eat a bowl of cereal. Okay. And then if I eat around 9 or 10, I probably won't eat again until dinner. And then for dinner, a salad, meat or eggs, nothing crazy. On the weekends, I may have pizza. I like sushi. So my evening meals would be very healthy-esque looking, but my breakfast is,
right.
Well, he's just eating banana, peanut butter, and cereal or something.
All right. Hey, I mean, I think it's great that you have that balance, and it's like, you're also incredibly in tune with your body, right? Like, I can imagine someone else, if they have pizza, they might have, like, it might not have the same effect on their body as it does you, I imagine.
Well, and now here's where we get crazy. So the mindset thing.
Right.
Like if I go into a meal thinking that's going to be bad for me, I shouldn't eat that, and I'm already guilty before I eat it, I'm better off not eating it. Because what I've done is I've taken my nervous system and put it in fight or flight mode. Well, it's not gonna be able to digest whatever I'm eating anyway, because now I've already laced it. I've wrapped it in negativity. I've made my nervous system feel unsafe about it because it's all information. So my thoughts are information. Right. But if I approach a meal thinking, man, I'm grateful for this. This is going to be good. I'm really going to enjoy this. And it's not going to hurt me. It's going to help me. So if I go into it with that mindset, now I've wrapped it in positivity, and the nervous system knows. So now, but if I'm in parasympathetic mode, I can rest, I can digest. Well, I can get rid of inflammation. that bad food might cause if it's not bad to me. So sometimes, and this is crazy, I know, but sometimes we set ourselves up for the expectation and the outcome based upon how we go into it.
Of
And
course, right.
our beliefs are strong, and our body responds because the body follows the head. And I'm not saying, I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but you could test it. You could test it out and see how your body does with it. And then you know for yourself, because again, it's the experience that teaches us. So, but if I'm not afraid, or I don't have guilt or shame, or if I'm not already beating myself up or beat myself up afterwards, so say you eat a meal and then you feel extremely guilty, what are you doing to your nervous system? What are you doing to your digestive system? Your vagus nerve is like, oh gosh, what? Oh, well, fight or flight. Let's fight. Let's fight. Let's fight. Can't you can't get any of the nutrition out of it. But if you ate a cookie with joy and gratitude, and there was no concern in your nervous system whatsoever, could that cookie be used for something beneficial? Possibly.
That's really powerful stuff, Tim. And so, we're getting up on the 45 minutes here. And again, I mean, this is really powerful stuff, and I'm so excited to share this with guys out there, and ladies who are listening as well, to help shift, I think, the mindset that a lot of kind of guys have with kind of fitness and exercise. It's like, dude, you got to push yourself. You got to push yourself. Whereas this is a whole different angle and perspective. And clearly, what you're doing is working, right? And so, with all that said, like, how can people follow you and learn more about you?
So I do have the YouTube page
Okay.
where it's tons of free videos on just on how to move, and not necessarily how to move, but fun ways to move that may be very beneficial for your body. We have a website called originalstrength.net, and that's where we have articles and videos also. And we also offer education courses and content. Easiest place, like if you really want to know more about how pressing reset works, if you go to Amazon, I've got several books, but the pressing reset original uh, original strength pressing reset reloaded, or the pressing reset book.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you've got
That
a bunch of books, by the way. I have seen the
I
Amazon
I
page.
get so I get so confused.
No, it's all good.
But that one will definitely fill in all the gaps on why these childlike movements, how they can help your body even if you're 80. That, and to me, that's where the power comes in, is the movement. All my crazy thoughts about nutrition or whatever, you don't have to worry about those. But if you just want to know how your body's designed to move, the books are a great place to start.
Awesome. Well, Tim, man, I really, really appreciate you sharing all this information. I'm excited, and I think it's going to help a lot of people out. So, with that said, man, enjoy the rest of the day. I really appreciate it.
Mark, thank you for having me. This has really been a lot of fun.